And joining me now to discuss MyOpen and the latest in Washington's fight against the coronavirus, House Minority Leader and California Republican Congressman Kevin McCarthy. Congressman, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me back, Judge.
All right. Congressman, I'd like to start with where I ended on the open, and that is the issue of China and the fact that they were not far from transparent, but they hid information from us. Our own intelligence community told us they were hiding information about this virus. And as a result, I mean, we are suffering and we haven't even hit the apex in this country yet. What can you tell us about Congress, what you're going to do about this when this pandemic is over?
Well, you're correct. This is a China's communist cover-up. Because if you watch, the doctor who gave the warning, you cannot find him anymore.
He's dead.
University of Southampton did a study. Had China been honest with the world, 95% fewer people would have been sick. That means it would have been controlled and contained inside China. If they would have just allowed, when President Trump requested, our scientists, our researchers, our doctors, we would have contained that there. Now what we're finding, and you're watching China still open up these wet markets, have enough people died for them to understand? Has there been enough financial destruction, not just in China and in America, but around the world every single day, and they continue to deny it? Their own numbers are a lie. You know, there was a recent study out there that I saw in this report, Wuhan, where this was originated from. They estimate 43,000 people in China died there. We will not know because they kill the doctors, they don't give the real reporting, and because of their cover-up, we're having more than 1 million people have this virus and the thousands of people who have died.
Well, you know, Congressman, there is also talk about, in addition to the wet markets, there's talk about the fact that there was this biochemical lab that was within a few hundred yards of the wet market. What have you heard about that?
They do have a facility there. Most doctors will tell you, and scientists, that this came from the wet market. So they should close those wet markets and not have them moving forward. But what's even worse about what's happening today, why we're all fighting this virus, not just in America, but around the world, you know what China is doing? And this is what Congress needs to make sure happen. We've got to change the supply chain. They control so much of the personal protection equipment that we need for our medical. They control so much of when it comes to our pharmaceuticals. But now what they are doing, because countries need that, they will only sell to them if they agree to buy their own technology again. Huawei inside China. China's wanting to control another industry with another supply chain. That is wrong.
Well, that's clearly wrong, because what they're doing is they're getting leverage, and then they're getting access through their technology to what we're doing again. You see, this is the problem. I mean, you talk about the pandemic that had its genesis in China, and then we talk about the fact that whatever treaties we may have with foreign countries to get whatever PPE or personal protection equipment we may need, we're not getting. And then you've got the issue of the supply chain. Why are we not getting what we need and making what we need in the United States? And Donald Trump is the first president I've ever heard talk about America first, made in America, and they laughed at him on the left. And now we realize we are vulnerable because we don't have our own supply chain.
You know, President Trump warned America and warned the world. This is what he campaigned on. This is what he has been fighting since he's become president, but he's been being held up. Why? Because all they wanted to do was impeach him. He was correct about what China has done for the last 20 years with 2 different administrations, allowing China to have this control over the rest of the world. And now they create a virus. The Communist Party covers it up, and then they lie to us. But what's even worse, because they control that supply chain, they're trying to control who can get the personal protective equipment, the PPE, to their medical individuals, and hold it for ransom based upon getting further control in another industry. You know, why can we not bring that back to America, just as the president has said? America first. We need to control our minerals. We need to control when it comes to these medical equipments as well. It should be here in America where we can combat it and not let any other country have any control over us or any place else in the world.
Well, you know, one of the things that was up on the screen, Congressman, I don't know if you were able to see it, was a timeline of the China coronavirus campaign. And what's interesting is that, you know, on March 4th, Chinese state media threatened to cut off critical U.S. drug supply. And then, of course, they pushed the theory that the U.S. military started the coronavirus pandemic. And then March 19th, they report no new local cases. Do you believe that?
I don't believe that at all. Their numbers are a
either.
lie. They created this. We know from the study that the world would have been safer had they just been honest. Because their own food supply is not safe like America's, and we have to maintain the American food supply, but we also have to go into these other chains of events that China's trying to control. But we cannot allow this to continue. The part about this, President Trump warned from the very beginning. President Trump made that decision to stop the spread by disallowing the planes coming from China, when what's so ironic was Joe Biden just now, 2 months later, agreed yesterday. He is so far behind.
Well, yeah, you know, Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi can try all she wants with this new committee. I've only got 20 seconds left. You know, this committee is headed toward another, it looks like, impeachment.
It's pure politics. In our bill that we just signed, the $2 trillion, the CARES Act, it has 3 oversight committees in there.
Right.
One, the president appoints somebody. Inspectors generals run another one, and the leaders inside the House and Senate appoint another individual. But you know it's politics when you look at who Nancy Pelosi wants to appoint. Clyburn, their majority whip, their number 3, he is the individual who said the coronavirus gives them an opportunity to restructure government in their liberal vision.
Congressman Kevin McCarthy, always great to have you on Justice. Thanks so much for being with us.